First part is Publisher's Desk, recent one, October 2023, What is Spiritual Unfoldment? And it has the subtitle, In Search for God. We discover that the entire universe is sacred and ultimately realize that divinity is within us. On occasion I am asked, how would you define Hinduism? I am a Hindu, but I don't know much about my religion. Interesting question to try and answer, right? An effective way of answering this question I found is a short explanation of the Purusharthas, the goals or wealths of the soul. 4 in number, Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha. They form a cornerstone of Hindu ethics. These aspirations are found in the Sankalpa, statement of intention that priests chant when doing an archana for someone in a temple. Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, Chaturvida, Palapurushartha Siddhyartham. The meaning is, may you attain the fulfillment of life's 4 goals, Dharma, wealth, enjoyment, and liberation. In his classic work, The Hindu View of Life, if you're not familiar with that book, it's a really excellent book by Dr. S. Radhakrishnan. He gives an insightful overview of the Purusharthas. If life is one, then there is one master science of life, which recognizes the 4 supreme ends, Dharma or righteousness, Artha or wealth, Kama or artistic and cultural life, and Moksha or spiritual freedom. The Hindu code of practice links up the realm of desires with the perspective of the eternal. It binds together the kingdoms of earth and heaven. So that's a very insightful statement, and it's something I mention on a regular basis, that basically the Purusharthas show that we can live a normal life but also make spiritual progress. That's what it's telling us. That's what he's saying. It's linking up the realm of desires with the perspective of the eternal. Looking in more depth at each of the Purusharthas, Dharma refers to living a life that is virtuous, fulfilling one's duties to family members, community, and country. Kama is love, such as that experienced in a family between husband, wife, and children. Artha is wealth, money, and the many riches of life that are acquired by the individual or family. And Moksha is spiritual attainment, liberation from the cycle of reincarnation. The meaning of the first 3 goals, Dharma, Artha, and Kama, and how to achieve them is self-evident. They are the natural pursuits of a mature, stable family. Not so obvious, however, is the nature of moksha and how to achieve it. To provide clarity, I like to refer to moksha as the destination and then describe the journey toward it. The Sanskrit name for this journey is Adhyatma Vikasa, which in English can be rendered as unfoldment of the soul or higher self. I asked ChatGPT to explain the Hindu concept of Adhyatma Vikasa. Sometimes it gives very good answers and sometimes it gives very wrong answers. Oh yeah. You have to know the answer kind of before you ask the question. So it gave a very good answer here. Atma Vikasa refers to the development and growth of the spiritual self or the inner self. In Hinduism, it is believed that the ultimate goal of life is to achieve spiritual liberation or moksha, which can be attained through Adhyatma Vikasa, the process of spiritual evolution. Really good answer in terms of Gurudeva's teachings. Through the process of spiritual evolution. So that's what Adhyatma Vikasa is talking about. The example I use to illustrate the relationship of Adhyatma Vikasa to moksha is to visualize a mountain with a winding path leading to the top. At the summit is moksha. The path represents adhyatma vikasa. In each life we are born at the same spot on this path that we reached in our previous birth. The goal in each life is to move forward, not to stand still, and definitely not to slide backwards. We progress on the path through performing spiritual practices, which we know are called sadhana. We stand still by living a selfish life and neglecting spiritual disciplines. And we regress by serious adharmic activities, such as living a life of theft, depravity, or cruelty. Hindus in their 60s often ask how they can achieve moksha in this lifetime. Those asking have generally not done much up to this point to advance spiritually, and suddenly feel an urgency to make a mad dash for moksha in their remaining years. So I've had a number of instances like that. I want to realize God, I want to achieve moksha, what should I do? But they haven't done anything so far in life. My counsel focuses on two principles. It takes far more than one lifetime to achieve moksha. The best approach is to move forward as much as you are able without fanatically struggling for the final goal in this life, which is in most cases unrealistic. Progress, yes. Liberation, not so easy. Let's look at the meaning of adhyatma vikasa. Adhyatma is derived from the Sanskrit roots adi, meaning higher, and atma, self or soul. Vikasa carries the meaning of development or becoming in the spiritual sense. Other English terms for spiritual are divine or sacred. Thus we could say that adhyatma vikasa is a process of becoming more and more aware of the divine or sacred within us and beyond. A few years ago, I was impressed by a movie about Teata Fisher, a renowned storyteller. In the 1930s, she represented Native Americans at state dinners in the presence of President Franklin D. Roosevelt. In the movie, she said that standing by a beautiful mountain lake was her cathedral. This inspiring statement about sacredness made me ponder the capacity of human consciousness to reflect in its most profound moments on the mystery and divine nature of existence. Adhyatma vikasa can be described as getting more and more in touch with that sacredness, which is the natural state of our soul, or Atma. In the Hindu view of life, Dr. S. Radhakrishnan stresses that Hinduism is a religion based on experience of the divine, which he refers to as reality. Religion, referring to Hinduism, is not the acceptance of academic abstractions or the celebration of ceremonies, but a kind of life of experience. It is insight into the nature of reality, darshana, or experience of reality, anubhava. This experience is not an emotional thrill or a subjective fantasy, but is the response of the whole personality, the integrated self, to the central reality. So that's a really good statement as well. Gurudeva taught 4 approaches to experiencing sacredness. Perhaps the easiest is to see sacredness in great religious teachers, such as Gurudeva, who seem to exude spirituality. We sense a special light in their eyes, not seen in others. The spirituality emanating from the great ones is sometimes called Shakti. Gurudeva wrote, "What is this Shakti, you may be wondering? It is being in the presence of divinity. All holy men and women emanate all of these Shaktis, and you can too, some stronger than others. Shakti is divine radiation from the third world, causal plane, through the second world, astral plane, into the first, physical plane. The astral body is in the second world and lives inside the physical body, and it is through the astral body that Shakti is felt." A second way to sense spirituality is to look deeply into the eyes of someone you know. Look deeper than the personality and the intellect and see the life energy in their eyes as the divine within them. Verse 3:7 of the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad affirms, he who knows God as the life of life, the eye of the eye, the ear of the ear, the mind of the mind, he indeed comprehends fully the cause of all causes. Third place to find sacredness is where we are tonight, in the Hindu temple. It is a holy space built and maintained in such a way that we can go there and experience the energy of God and gods. During the puja, the priest calls forth the deity to reside in the image and bless the devotees present. Devotees experience the deity as an uplifting, peaceful, divine energy radiating out from the image. Gurudeva gave this description. The reality of the Mahadevas and their darshan, blessings, can be experienced by the devotee through his awakened ajna vision, or more often as the physical sight of the image in the sanctum, coupled with the inner knowing that he is there within the microcosm. That's what we're trying for tonight. This darshan can be felt by all devotees, becoming stronger and more defined as devotion is perfected. Well, that's such a beautiful statement, it's worth a comment. This darshan can be felt by all devotees, becoming stronger and more defined as devotion is perfected. Meaning our devotion, it becomes deeper. Devotion for Ishvara becomes deeper, and the deeper our devotion, the stronger and more defined is this darshan. There is a fourth, more advanced approach. Okay. By consistent practice, a meditator learns to locate the sacredness within him or her, and over time go ever deeper into it. The initial experience may register on the external mind as peace and bliss. So that's the first sense of contacting our soul, our Atman, is we're peaceful and blissful. Later one comes into a clear white light, and later on still an all-pervading consciousness. Ultimately one encounters the transcendental source of that consciousness. As stated in the Chandogya Upanishad, the self resides within the lotus of the heart. Knowing this, consecrated to the self, the sage enters daily that holy sanctuary. Absorbed in the self, the sage is freed from identity with the body and lives in blissful consciousness. In summary, Hinduism gives us a number of approaches to experiencing the divine. An important part of making progress on the path to moksha is encountering the transcendent on a regular basis. That practice will, over time, naturally deepen the awareness of our own inner sacredness, which is what spiritual unfoldment is all about. It was interesting, I was reading my Merging with Shiva lesson for this morning. I'm not exactly on the one that is the formal one of the day. I have my own way of going through Merging with Shiva. The last sentence said, Hindus love all the temples they have built in the West, especially our Kadava temple, for it feels so sacred to them. All of the temples in the West are connected to other temples in Sri Lanka or India. And of course that was before we had Iraivan. So we can now add Iraivan as well. And recently when we were in Iraivan, I asked a family what their experience was at Iraivan Temple, and their answer was they really appreciated the sacredness and quiet. So this is definitely already a sacred place which helps us experience, which is what we're looking at tonight, our own inner sacredness. So let's try and fit this into 7 minutes. So this is part 2, which is the email that went out about Maha Shivaratri. Maha Shivaratri, Shiva's great night, is the night before the new moon day in February, March. We observe it both as a discipline and a festivity, keeping a strict fast and all-night vigil, meditating, intoning Shiva's 1008 names, singing his praise, chanting Sri Rudram, and bathing the Shiva Linga. Generally, Hindu festivals are near the time of the full moon. Such times are natural for seeking the blessings of the deity to enhance our family and professional activities, our outer life. Maha Shivaratri, however, is at the time of the new moon, and it is a festival where the blessings of Lord Shiva are invoked for turning within and experiencing our inner self, our intuitive or superconscious mind. In fact, the idea is to go as deeply within as possible. Gurudeva describes it as a time for being near the Vairagis, renunciates, as they strive to realize Parashiva, the self. Gurudeva wrote about how easy it is to experience your inner superconscious self. So this is a very important point. Our inner superconscious self, we don't have to do something to make it come into us. It's already into us, it's already in us, we're just not aware of it. So the key is to learn how to become aware of it. So Gurudeva wrote, you must not think the superconscious mind is a way out, You must not think the superconscious mind is way out of your reach simply because of the word super. Because it is quite the contrary. It is within you. It has always been within you. All you have to do is reprogram the subconscious mind a little and move awareness out of the conscious mind, and your journey is within. You are superconscious now. You have to accept that. You do not have to get to be superconscious. This is not something that is going to happen to you all of a sudden and then cause you to be different. The thing that is going to happen to you is that you will release your individual awareness from the so-called bondages of the habit patterns of the external mind that it had been accustomed to flowing through. Once it is released, you will automatically flow into other inner areas of the mind because you have been studying about them, now have the map clearly outlined for you. Oh, thank you very much. As Gurudeva loved to say, the search is within. So tonight is where we search within.